Please join me in the prayer of preparation. May the words of my mouth
and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen.
So I'm going to start off with a question. What is it that keeps you up at night? Something that runs through your head and has you tossing, turning, perhaps night after night. The story from our reading this morning is about Jacob, son of Isaac. Jacob had served his time and made peace with his uncle and father-in-law Laban. He has paid his debts. He has his wives, Leah and Rachel. He has his servants, 11 children, a large healthy livestock. He has been blessed by his father Isaac and is all set to take his father's place as head of the clan. He is on his way to reconcile with his brother Esau after years of hostility. One life is behind him, and the other is about to begin. So that evening he sent his wives, cattle, and children to the far side of the Jabbok River. And then he recrossed the river to pray, and is now all alone. And that is when his trouble starts. In that vulnerable moment, in the silence of that moment, with no warning whatsoever, he finds himself struggling with an angelic entity. This story points out the process of struggle and change, and that secret spiritual quality of letting go and letting God. Jacob is at a crucial moment of transition. Privately, he is aware that his life is not as rosy as it looks externally. Inside, he is carrying a heavy burden. He remembers how he carefully bred Laban's stock and selected out the healthier animals for his keeping. He remembers how he had lied to his father Isaac to obtain his father's blessing of inheritance that rightly belonged to his older brother Esau. He is aware that Esau now hates him for this and had vowed to kill Jacob as soon as Isaac passed away. Now he is in the process of moving his family, and he receives word that Esau is coming to meet him, armed with a troop of over 400 men. And now Jacob is really scared. He has assembled a gift to appease his brother Esau of hundreds of livestock, and sent his servants on ahead to deliver them with the message that they are a present from Jacob, who is following behind. At this critical juncture, in his aloneness and stillness, we see Jacob confronting an unknown future. He faces darkness, fear, and vulnerability. He has no idea what is going to happen next. His battle shifts him into surrender. He must confront his misdeeds and generate courage to face an uncertain future. So what is Jacob struggling with here? We see the angel has not revealed his name, yet Jacob has developed a deeper knowing of God. Our encounters with God are complex, difficult to understand, and even more difficult to put into words. And this is the paradox of our spiritual development. To express our faith, it is necessary to include this holding of the tension of the opposites, to recognize our struggles, to know our light and our dark sides. Self-acceptance involves recognizing this paradox as a God-given human experience. When we can hold an awareness of both seemingly opposing truths of ourselves and our circumstances in our consciousness at the same time, it allows for more complete truth of the nature of our human experience. The Apostle Paul recognizes this paradox clearly. He states that we are both morally frail and willfully strong. From the reading this morning, he says, I do not understand my own actions, for I do not do what I want, but I do the very thing I hate. Integrating our struggles remains as relevant in our modern times. Carl Jung, the famous psychoanalyst, said that integrating our shadow into our conscious life is the most important task of our lifetime. At the peak of his struggle, as the sun is rising, Jacob was exhausted and nearing collapse. It is the spirit that cries out, "Let me go." And Jacob answers, "I will not let you go until you bless me." And here we realize something. It is Jacob's exhaustion that is the real enemy. When we don't let go of something, that is when we are defeated by it. The angel is not going to stop. It is Jacob that must let go in order to be blessed. So the angel recognizes that Jacob would not give up. So the angel strikes Jacob on the hip, and as a result, Jacob walked with a limp for the rest of his life. Jacob's painful hip is something we intuitively recognize. Life can and does wear us out. Such as in our own lives, Jacob is looking for an insurance policy against his future. We strive for stability and homeostasis, to get things under control, to achieve our dreams, and settle down into the sweet, soft marshmallow center of our lives, enjoy what we had worked so hard for. And we don't want any of it to slip from our fingers. When we become fixated on our vision of retaining power or money or a relationship and resisting change, that struggle can and will defeat us. To concentrate only on the struggle deprives us of the opportunity to discover our blessing, to understand what is waiting to be discovered in the confrontation with the self. The angel asks, "What is your name?" "Jacob," he replies. And the angel responds, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have been strong against God." And so Jacob named the site of his struggle Peniel, which is Hebrew for face of God. Jacob later says, "I have seen God face to face, and I have survived." Our wisdom is earned from the wars we wage within ourselves. We resist vulnerability, we push away memories of mistakes, regrets, and heartaches. But when we are forced to face our missteps and move on after failure and disappointment, this opens up a space, an opportunity for us to become the rest of what we are able to become. If we try to backpedal against change, we create obstacles to discovering other opposing truths of ourselves as brave, resourceful, forgiving, and resilient. When the ground shifts under our feet, despite our resistance and without our permission, invitation to personal growth and wholeness. God, in her way, has put her faith in us. We are co-creators in this world. We create this world with our actions, making this world a beautiful, loving place. Jacob's struggle in his darkness, we can see, was necessary for his soul's unfolding. Jacob's total awareness of God's presence during his vulnerable moment was his blessing. The paradox of faith allows for the potential loss of what we thought was so valuable that brings us face to face with God. And does someone want to say what happened when Jacob and Esau He forgives him? Yeah, he forgave him. We have to forgive. We have to let go. We have to forgive everyone else. We are redirected on a spiritual journey into wholeness, to see and accept all sides of ourselves. We are invited to find that depth in our hearts where no amount of darkness can extinguish God's presence. A place where we know we have already been blessed. Amen.